South.
Yeah.
The north actually has more sand than the...
Actually, as a frequent
Is
user,
it enough?
Yeah, you know what? Because first of all, I time it for low tide, and you really have two beaches.
Yes.
You have a low tide beach, which is terrific,
We've
and the
moved
high tide
sand from
beach. There's a lot of sand on the north end. There really is.
Right.
So
We've
the
moved
north
sand
end's
from the
not too
north
bad.
to the south, but
Yeah, I
it's just
think
not
it's
enough.
And you're using a state contract on that, right? For the
Yes,
sand?
we would use, actually, we'd use the county contract.
Okay.
They spread it, or do we need our own people?
We have to spread it.
We spread it ourselves, and we have the equipment to do that, or we have to contract
No,
out
we
for that?
contract it. Yeah.
You contract it
Yeah.
out. Is that number included in there?
That would be, well, there's an allowance for that in there, yes.
So, Commissioner Salanitro's point is well taken. So if you're saying that 400, wow,
Yeah, that's why we haven't done it in a
Wow.
couple of years.
well, we gotta, I think, start.
Start with 400,
I think
yeah.
that's right.
I'm just saying, but you might find yourself that you might need more, that's all I'm saying.
It's
Yeah.
concentrated on the south end, so that it doesn't even have to go to the middle.
Right, what we're looking at is we're looking at south of From Seaside Johnny's.
down.
Right.
Yeah, from the restaurant, so it's the two tunnels, the two bathroom tunnels, men's and ladies. It's right from the
Yeah.
men's bathroom tunnel all the way to the wall.
And quite honestly, we should add, as Commissioner Brett mentioned, and we mentioned at the last meeting, some money is in here after this sand is placed. We need a survey, because we could have gotten all this paid for if we had a survey. Not to say that anybody
Yeah.
did anything wrong. It's a tool that FEMA wants us to have a sand survey, and all it is just showing an elevation, so you can quantify what was removed by Mother Nature, so they'll reimburse you for the expense of replacing it.
Right.
Do you have an idea what the cost would be? I think it's an excellent suggestion.
Yeah,
You know,
it's,
I can't see him.
Playland did their survey, and they told me they paid $13,000.
13,000.
Yes.
Yeah, but you
Well,
pay it once.
you need an engineer to
surveyor.
certify it.
Well, it's a
and-
surveyor.
and
Yeah, no, I got a couple of kids with sandcastles.
What's the relationship? What's the relationship with, I mean, size-wise, Playland's beaches?
Well, in 2013, what was the
They
FEMA
had
cost?
1,000 Excuse me?
Yards?
tons.
Tons?
And their new sand was 6 inches deep through the whole
Right.
park, so they had about 1,000 on it.
Well, can we cost out a survey? Can we figure out, can you get a guesstimate?
Yeah.
Or do you have to do a formal bid? Can you get an
Yeah,
estimate?
it's
No,
a professional
there,
survey.
we can just make a couple of phone calls. and-
Great, let's find out what it would cost, and
And include it in.
and then at the risk of incurring the wrath of Deputy Supervisor Villanova, I like the lights over the security camera, because in other words, you know, I know how dark it is in there at night, and, you know, you can see an accident happening now. The security camera will help with the vandalism, but that's more of a longer-term problem, and we haven't get whacked on that side.
We haven't gotten whacked. We've had a couple of incidents.
No, I'm saying, but in other words, I mean, I want to get to the security cameras, but I think we put that to priority B, and we put the lights to priority A.
Can we split the cost, Joe?
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah, let's try and do half.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
Excellent suggestion.
So you only take one leg off, and both legs off, what do you see, Jim?
If I'm not mistaken,
Because he's after you.
the estimate is for 6 lights on the pond.
No,
We
I'm sorry.
could do with 3.
No, I'm sorry, we're talking about the security cameras for
Yes,
both of them.
Well,
But the lighting, you have to be careful, because it's in series, and I would think that you would want to put the pole base in so you could run the wires up, and, you know, the lamp pole is not overly expensive, but the wiring is, you don't want to
that's where the
redig it.
expenses, yeah.
Right, so procedurally, you probably want to get the infrastructure in place, and then maybe, if you don't have enough money to
always
put
add
all
to it.
6 lights, you can always,
Right.
but the pole, the foundation should be in place, ready to go. And you might get a couple of people donate a light or two.
So,
I
we could cut the number of lampposts down to half, and then cut
But does that include electrical work in there?
Yeah.
Separate line.
So you can't just divide it by 2, because the electrical's going to be a common number.
Well, it's kind of
That number's not going to really change. So it's the cost of the lamp post.
So they've got this- they've got
Really,
this
it's going to be a small percentage of the total is the cost.
Oh, here we go.
Here, they have it set out. So we could go with $2,750 for
Right.
the electric plus 3 lamps. And maybe we get some,
Same cost for 3 or 6.
Yeah, I originally had somebody that wanted to, I don't know if they still do.
that would be very helpful. 'Cause then if we could-
This price came from you had somebody price this out? I mean, an electrical contractor?
Yeah.
Bishop, while we're still on capital, back to the primary, the earlier figures. What are the FEMA costs that showed up this past year and not in 2014? We had a cost of $34,000.
34, I'm trying to think of what the 34,000...
That wasn't anything connected with the surveys or anything, right?
The wall.
No, the 34,000, most of it was for sand movement. The greater majority of it was for sand movement because the sand displacement after the hurricane was so dramatic, we couldn't even get the insurance people in to take a look at it because we had 6 or 7 feet of sand up against Seaside Johnny's, and we had to clear out the sand. So FEMA picked up the cost for us to move the sand roughly about 30 yards, 20 to 30 yards off of the seawall so that it could be examined and so that people could get into the snack bar down below and those kinds of things.
So that's why
that was a piece of it.
It's not a recurring.
That's not a recurring thing. The other piece was there was fence damage that we had at the north gate. There was roof damage that we had at a couple of the buildings, again, wind-type damage, etc. So these are one-off, the FEMA stuff typically is a one-off.
I was curious whether or not it was tied in anything. Okay.
So I think what we're talking about for the lights is 2,750, right? And is that what we're talking about?
So you want to bring it down? Yeah.
Well, we can always put I think what I'm understanding is you can always put the new lampposts in relatively easily for $7,500, correct?
Later on.
Well, I'm not clear on that, and I'm not sure if they're clear on it, but that's the question, is whether we should put the infrastructure in place and accommodate lights to be added on to that infrastructure.
I think you can do that, but we have to size the wiring for the final job.
Sure.
Yeah, for the maximum.
Yeah. Right,
Okay.
so as long as we anticipate finishing the job, we have to put the right wiring in.
So why don't you put $2,700 in A
Yeah,
and $7,500 in B, which would be done next year.
okay. Got it.
And 64 stays in A, 16,000 stays in A, 17,200 comes over to A.
Right.
Now, Commissioner Salanitro had a good suggestion. Is there any way, do you need to do the full-blown, all the security cameras at the same time?
No, if you go to the scope of work page in the camera, the RFP, we can easily cut this thing back because there are 13 cameras as part of the system. Well,
He does want to...
do you want me to do
I think Bill picked the locations.
Yeah, we have 5 cameras on the North Beach.
Let us know when Joe's
No, but for example, there are certain things that are absolute requirements, and if you needed to, you would basically get the DVR, which is the main system that runs it, and one security monitor instead of having the other 2 monitors in the park director's office. Which would cut down some of the expenses, and then you could cut back on some of these cameras. You don't have to put them all in at once.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Couldn't we take the same approach? In other words, where we
Sure.
do 15,000 this year and 10 the following year?
Easily.
Okay.
Easily.
All right.
Tell me what
Even better, 12, I'm looking at Commissioner, got 12,500 here?
I was just
Or
looking
10,
at, I'm looking
15?
at the total of our
Yeah.
expenses, and I know we're going to start exceeding the city of Ryan's
I know.
budget for half of
What is our budget? How?
So we're at
You get another
100
10,000 in there or not?
I don't, not.
Well, you're
within-
picking up 40% of whatever the capital plan is.
Right.
So, if
Right.
you...
Well, how much you have budgeted?
We have a total, I think we have 50,000 budgeted.
That's for capital.
Well, we have 50,000 budgeted
50,000
for
everything,
expenses. And I'm trying to find an
Right.
email I got from Scott Pickup on what the capital budget is. But probably it's about $50,000.
So
That's what
50
we've done
each?
historically. Well, all right, we have to reserve for potential loss.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So reserve of a potential loss of 50, and then
And then
obviously
50,000
that's, you guys, in other words, you don't really care which way it goes. In other words, if our loss is only 30, you could increase the CapEx, I presume.
Yes, presumably, yes.
So 50 divided, so what's that, $200,000? What's 0.4 divided by 50? Does it have a calculator? Oh, there you go. Mary.
What is it, divided by 50?
50 divided by 0.4.
It's 8.
It's gonna be
too high,
math
right?
quiz, yeah.
125?
125, that's where you are.
That's where we are without the security cameras.
So 125, well, amongst friends, we can take the, if Mayor Sack does, Mayor Sack's not once, well, if we could get, how about do this, 10,000 here, right? And then in other words, then you have 40 for the reserve, then you're better off this way anyway, because you're only paying 40% of this.
Yeah.
And you pay 50% of the operating loss. We need to have 100,000 between the two. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. I'm sitting here wondering why we're backpedaling on the security cameras. I mean, I thought we talked, the original part of this conversation when we thought, let's do the lighting instead of security, and now we're putting both back in.
Well, I think that
At half, I appreciate that.
Are we going to make decisions tonight? We're going to say yes, go, or do we want to have the budget represented, or how do you want
We
to do
have
this?
to do the regular budget tonight.
Tonight,
Does
okay.
that include the capital budget?
Do you want to, we
Yeah,
can,
we're spending money now, I mean.
I understand, well, the regular budget's fine. I think we're full consensus on that.
Yeah.
The question is the capital budget. Do you want to hold that over and talk to your, I
It would
mean,
be-
what's the urgency on this?
If,
Well, actually, why don't we authorize the 120? Why don't we authorize the
That's fine.
125?
Yeah, that's fine.
And
That makes sense.
then we'll put the security cameras, so let's just,
okay,
no, actually, we have the park benches, though, you got 10 here,
Let's split in two.
all split in two. All right, so 5 this year.
We committed to 5.
We committed to 5, so you got to keep that in, so
We're on
so
it.
right now, we're over by 7,000.
So,
Well,
we can
5,000.
reduce the camera proposal to
Oh, no.
12.5.
Sorry, actually 7,000, right, so you're,
When
When we put the
you're,
benches back in, we're going to put,
you're looking at your portion, right? Or you're
this is,
looking at the
I'm looking
overall?
at the overall.
Right, so the
we're taking
overall goes to
40,
131, so we're a bit over.
A little bit over. And we'll
And
always
then
come back
You
to
got
the
there's
security.
We'll come back to the
$80,000,
security, okay.
there's $80,000 that are, those are the big ticket items that we.
Well, these are guesstimates too, right? They could
Right,
be
yeah,
less.
you got 80,000 between the ramp and the,
And we
I
talked
think
about
it could be
trying
a
to
little
get
bit
that
less.
lower.
Yeah, I'm okay
And
with
I
it.
think-
It is less.
Okay,
Yeah, I
so
think
if
you're
we
gonna
can
have a
get
little
that-
cushion there.
All right, so why don't we do this?
Go buy our dumpsters from
We
there.
have
One thing
a-
it doesn't have in here, which needs to be in here, is our dumpsters that we gotta talk about. Is whether it's gonna be operating.
Should we talk, let's talk about the dumpsters now then.
No.
No, we might talk about it anyway. but-
No, do you have anything anywhere for dumpsters?
I don't have the small dumpster costs.
Do you have any money to buy something anywhere in the budgets?
I can't see them costing all that much.
So the answer is yes.
I think no, what I'm saying is I think we can cover some of those costs in the
You have something for supplies in there,
$100,000
right.
maintenance item.
Right.
Okay.
Of the operating budget?
Of the
Okay.
operating
All right.
budget.
Because I don't want
Okay.
to glance over something and then have to come back and say we need to amend the capital
Plus,
budget.
Johnny's is supposed to,
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Right.
Yeah. But,
Well, let's talk about it now anyway, because we got to cover about it in the meeting anyway tonight, right? We're going to talk about it later.
yeah, it's on the agenda item.
Yeah, let's talk about
Do
it.
we want to pass the budget first?
That's late.
yeah.
Do we want to pass the budget?
You
Should
wanna
we
go
pass
with
the
the
budget?
operating
Well,
budget?
I want to, so let's pass the operating budget.
Right.
We're all full agreement.
Yeah.
What's the bottom line number on the operation budget? Operating
Well, it's a
budget?
break even miraculously. What we're really, fixed on are the
Well,
costs,
we have to
Mayor
put the
Pagano.
we have to put the
And-
6,500 back in
Back
there,
in.
which is a loss of 65, projected loss of 6,500, if you
Right.
recall.
67.5, right?
67.5, right.
67.50. So, again, we all understand that I think the fundamental decision we made tonight is to agree a salary increase of $7,000.
I think
In
that's
all
it.
honesty, that's
Yeah.
the real decision we make when we budget. Otherwise, it's, projecting revenues and
Right.
costs, and again, just to reiterate, we congratulate management for the hard work, maintaining costs. We haven't had an increase for 4 or 5 years. We want to get the employee retention rate.
Thanks.
We're okay with and so we're going to, we effectively agree the salary increase that approximately is about $7,000. Agree the budget for this year, and while Mr. Nwadek is clearly spending a lot of time, whether it's 891,777 or 891,752, we'll hold him to account. But in other words, I think we're basically projecting a budget that's in balance. And so we will have to move the 767.50, so it'll be out of balance by $6,750 because,
That'll go into your 100,000, so
Right.
that'll be 106,750.
okay, so we'll be slight deficit, hoping to make that up with some good weather, some good work, and all that. But if I'd like to put forward a motion to vote for a broadly balanced budget that incorporates a salary increase and hope that we actually come in with a profit this year like we did 2 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the budget on that basis?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
Okay. Any further clarity? Did we clear? I think we're clear. Okay, good. Now, for the capital budget, before we close the chapter on the capital budget, I would, Commissioner Salanitro, now look to go to discussion on this other issue, just so we're absolutely clear.
Okay, I think I gave a brief report at the last commission meeting, and I'll give an update. Essentially, what the commission is asked to do is to evaluate the current means and methods of trash removal from the park. So there was a little bit of understanding that I had to gather, and they asked me to be the go-between between the commission and Seaside Johnny's. I made 2 attempts to, actually I did speak to Mr. Ambrose twice. He's still in Florida, he was away out of town. I asked him last week, in his absence, if he could contact his partner so I can sit down face-to-face and try to iron this out. Realizing I was only one voice of the commission. I did tell John Ambrose that we needed to go away from the current process of using the open containers and then having those containers, shipped or emptied twice or 3 times a week. I thought it was unsightly, it was unhealthy, it was just a public nuisance in general, and it didn't fit with the park atmosphere. There was silence. I was doing all the talking. I wasn't sure if I was even connected to the other side of the phone, but so I think it was a little shell shock.
No more free drinks this summer.
I said, so I said, we're moving forward on our behalf, and as I read the license agreement with the park, with Seaside Johnny's, and I copied the commission today so that you guys can all take a look at it, but and I got confirmation that the reading of the language was proper on my behalf, that Seaside Johnny's must provide containers, garbage cans approved by the commission. That being said, the operations of the park, exclusive of what's going on with the restaurant, there's a production of waste, and the waste stream has multiple components. We have our trash cans that we pick up, which is the loose trash that people dispose of. We have organic waste that we pick up every morning from the debris, seaweed debris, which is considered yard waste, and then there's the recyclable component. From my discussion on the recycling component, there appears to be cardboard recycling that's done by both the park as well as Seaside Johnny's. I'm not convinced that there's a wholehearted recycling effort for the commingled. And typically in a restaurant business, the commingled products are your most voluminous. You have your bottles, your cans, and your plastics. So that being said, I think that there's a little work that needs to be done on that. So I moved on to the procedures of how do we want to, facilitate the operations. And I spoke with Ryan Coyne from the city of Rye, who indicated they had no problem picking up smaller containers. The current containers, as you know, Bishop indicated that the 20-yard roll-off containers, I think they are, right?
Right.
And they're deteriorated.
20 and 30.
They're deteriorated, they're in poor shape. So moving away from that, the 2-yard containers, yard-and-a-half containers, smaller containers that have lids over them that obviously will conceal what's in them, provide a little bit more security. I thought that if the commission was in favor of that methodology, that we could move forward. Now, how many do you buy? Well, you almost want to learn from your, what you need based upon how often the pickup's going to happen. I suspect that we'd probably want at least 1 day a week, every day to be picked up except for the weekends, which might be a problem. I don't know yet. We have to take a leap of faith and say we need to move off the current process. I don't know if there's any buy-in from Seaside Johnny's, but I would recommend that whatever we decide to do in terms of process, we need to inform Seaside Johnny's they have an obligation under their license agreement with us to do something. Now, they may have a different idea altogether. That's fine. They can do something separately from us. But I think there's tools at our disposal between the City of Rye, the Village of Port Chester, our own staff people, that we can expedite a more favorable process of collecting, disposing, of both the waste, the recycling, and the organic yard waste that we pick up there. And I think the county would be helpful as well. So my recommendation is that we absolutely do away with the process that we currently have in place, and that we consider at a start, depending on because I call it a bullpen, the area that we have isolated for the trash containers, that we figure out how many containers we could put there, the 2-yard containers. I estimated 4 to 6 for the park's behalf. Now, we may in the future decide that we want to move it away from where it is now, which is between the paved portion and the grass portion of the parking. Is that the best place? I don't know. I've done a little bit of homework on it, and we can meet with staff about selecting a better place. But for now, I think rather than go into more capital expense, we use what we have. It's properly screened. There is a waste container there for the waste oil.
Right.
So he has that there. And then it's just a matter of semantics, I think, as Mayor Pagano offered earlier, that we huddle with the powers that be at our respective DPWs and see what would be the most beneficial arrangement, municipal arrangement, to have the waste picked up.
As I explained to Mr. Salanitro earlier, if we're going, we've got a 20 and we have a 30-yard, Bishop?
Yes.
We're cutting it down. If we were to go to either 4 or 6 containers at 2 yards each, we're looking at 12 yards, where we have from up...
But one of them is only used for yard waste.
Right. Okay.
Right.
One container is strictly
That's
yard
correct.
waste.
Right.
There's another issue with and I picked up on something you mentioned. The other issue with the smaller containers, they need to roll. They need to be on
That's right.
blacktop.
This is a concrete surface.
Yeah, so if there was a thinking to move them at some point to grass, that...
Oh, no, definitely not grass.
Okay.
Definitely not grass. You don't want that, yeah.
No, they would be on the concrete pad that the current roll-off container is on. In other words, the current 30-yarder is on a concrete pad already. So we would continue to leave them there because we'd get rid of the existing one.
Right, and I guess the only other thing, this will all get ironed out once we sit down, and that is the frequency of the disposal. I mean, picture the day after, 4th of July, and the day after 4th of July is going to be a heck of a lot heavier than, every other day of the week.
Right.
That can be programmed, but right now I think Rocky Morbido in Portchester, Ben was saying something like 2 to 3 times a week in Portchester is our pickup.
Yeah.
I don't know how this is impacting with less volume. It may have to be more frequent.
Well, the recycling effort also would be a big thing too.
I wasn't aware of that.
Because there's food waste, obviously, from the production, the fact that it's a restaurant, but if the recycling is really being done properly, you can see a 35 to 50% reduction in volume.
Yeah.
There's no question about that.
Understand that?
If they're throwing all the recyclables with the garbage, and all of those bags are filling up the 30-yard container, there's a lot of stuff that shouldn't be there in the first place.
Oh, okay.
So the actual waste stream
So if they
would be
actually
reduced by a lot.
recycled, then that would not, okay.
That would be a separate
What would they
collection
do with that?
process. That's something that has to be figured out, because they have to do something with recyclables. They can't throw it in the garbage. That's against the source separation laws.
Do we have recycling capacity now?
Nobody's recycling, I don't think, except for cardboard.
We are recycling cardboard. I know that for a fact.
Right,
we
cardboard.
do have recycling cans throughout the park and on the beach. The problem is that it's not very reliable in terms of the quality of what's there.
There's a lot of
because people
contamination.
do whatever they want. The contamination is there.
Yeah.
Contamination, what sense?
Well, throw a pizza box in with you can't.
Right.
Well, because this is something we need to work on in the town of Rye, is a sustainability plan of some sort. And I know you've
The
done that.
city of Rye has a sustainability plan.
Right.
And I'm sure that the recycling plan fits into the sustainability plan.
Of course.
I'm sure there's a piece of
Could
that.
I know you kindly sent me an email, somebody, could you send that to me again?
Yeah.
And can we follow up on this? Because for the town of Rye as a whole, I want to come up with a sustainability plan this year. Republicans have just discovered climate change. And so, sorry. But I'm seriously speaking, that we should be, obviously.
And I do think
I just don't know if we have a plan. I want to be more rigorous about that, and then let's take advantage of this process.
About the recycling,
yeah,
right? And
the
I think
recycling's
that
big.
we need to incorporate the city of Rye in the communications about the garbage collection.
Absolutely.
Because one of the issues with the large dumpster that was there was that
They didn't
there
have
were
to
there were
recognize it.
complaints about the size of the trucks that were going through the neighborhood and the frequency. And I know that Rye is down in that neighborhood collecting garbage 5 days a week already. So at least Monday through Friday, Rye has trucks down there because that neighborhood is split into, for some reason, for garbage and recycling days. So we do have garbage trucks down there on weekdays, but the weekends are really when the large garbage burden comes for the park.
Yeah, but Portchester's not picking up on weekends. Were they picking up? Did you have
Portchester was
Weekends.
picking up just before. In other words, what they would do is they would empty the 2 large dumpsters either on a Thursday or Friday,
Okay.
so that we had weekend capacity.
We would have the same thing.
So they
Okay,
did not.
okay.
They did not
Yeah.
come in on the weekends.
As far as the recycling goes, Fred, he mentioned something that he was using a different colored plastic bag for the recyclables, but you're not supposed to put recyclables in plastic bags.
You mean different colored can?
No.
Plastic, I don't follow your question.
In order to have a successful recycling program, you need to have a separate container where all the recyclables go in, and then they're eventually picked up. But that's not happening.
No.
No, he might be separating it, but it's still going in the garbage. So the
Right.
point is, how do you solve that? It's very simple. You know, he packages them where he has to package them, puts them in a van or a pickup truck on his own. He can go recycle them because we don't have a recyclable facility for that.
Right.
Right.
We could take our own as well to either Portchester or Rye because they have an open facility. We could just bring our recyclables to that facility. I mean, there's no tipping fee for that. Tipping in the wrong way. It's a municipal word, tipping. So there are ways, to get it done. It's change, but it's not a bad change. It's a sustainable change.
Some
Sure,
of
no,
that
exactly.
already.
Yeah.
Well, can I ask a question? Well, I love the suggestion. I want to thank you, Commissioner Salanitro, for all the hard work.
Can I resign now?
The question I have is, so what do we need to do to execute and implement?
We got to start the process, and
Right.
we got to get rid of those 2 containers and wash our hands of them.
I've already contacted a couple of scrap recyclers. We will net less than $1,000 for both containers combined as scrap. Again, we have to get them to the scrapyard.
Right.
So you're looking at nominal revenue in terms of being able to get rid of them, but you are going to make a couple of dollars on
Sure.
it.
And
Well, you can see
how
if-
much is it going to cost to get these 6 new containers?
I don't have
We
those
have to
prices
price
yet.
those out. Yeah,
All right, so can you guys come up with a plan
Sure.
for next week? Is that?
Sure.
Yeah, there's plenty of places we can get prices, but before we get a price, we need to meet with both the village
You need to see-
and the city to see what kind of trucks
We'll
they
have to
have.
standardize sizes too.
make sure
That
they
trundle
understand.
has got to be just right for
Correct.
both trucks.
So it sounds like we're halfway through the plan, is that right?
And you need to get
Is that right,
Salanitro
too?
on board.
Right.
Well, I call them.
Not you.
Yeah, we're going to send them a letter
Yeah.
on behalf of the commission.
Well, I think that,
We
so
put it down.
it sounds to me that we need to get, it sounds to me that either the Village of Portchester or the City of Rye will be the agent of pickup, right?
That's correct.
Right, okay, then you guys will
Probably
figure out,
both.
or some
both.
combination of the two.
Yep.
Right now, we're paying the Village of Portchester, correct?
We pay the Village of Portchester currently for their
Right.
pickup.
So, and I know both are committed to providing the Rye Town Park Commission with a discounted.
All the
going
time,
forward.
George. All the time.
But so if we can just come up with, so we obviously need to meet with both of them, and then obviously, we'll have like every year, we have a season kickoff with Seaside Johnny, and Mr. Ambrose, and explain that, and this is an effort that we've been slow to embrace at the town level. It's my fault, and we need to do that, and we need to make, I didn't realize we weren't recycling, so we need to make certain that happens across our footprint.
Well, the multiple container proposal facilitates recycling much better
That's what I'm talking
than
about.
the 2 bulk containers. So,
Depends how many we can fit.
we're on our way.
So that's what I'm saying, terrific.
And
Let's
why
take
am I
it.
standing here?
Please.
Because, we've explored if there's a better place to locate the containers, and that's the most logical and the most convenient.
Well, the other issue, what I don't want to go through this change, because I think, again, I end up parking next to that big container half the time, and it's horrible.
But this will be an improvement.
So that's why I want to make sure, what I want to make sure is when we get to these 6 containers.
Most of that odor is
Are they
from the
going to be
restaurant.
covered?
Yes, all of these containers, the smaller containers
That's
are
really bad.
Also,
So
we're talking
you
about more
close them
frequent
up?
Yeah.
pickup, which is also going to help.
That'll help.
Yeah.
But the odor actually comes from the restaurants.
It's all the waste, yeah, food
refuse, because it's fish.
Right.
I mean, we're emptying seaweed, and there's not really that much odor, and even our garbage.
Yes, we do have a lot of dog material.
But sometimes if you start to deal with the separation of the different items, you start to get more it's more manageable, you know? You can get those little, those 50-gallon roll-off things, you can use those, there's a whole host of different things, baby steps for
This is definitely,
Expertise
this is
astounding.
a definite improvement.
He's unbelievable. It really is. I think we're going to vote Commissioner Salanitro Commissioner of the Year 2014.
Make it 2013.
Thank you so much, Commissioner
Thank you.
Salanitro. So we'll
Okay, so we'll-
full on play next week.
Mary, if you're just going to have Rocky...
By all means.
Now, will we have some expenditure? We will have some expenditure associated with that,
Yes.
don't we?
At least five.
Yes, well, we'll have some serious numbers now that we have a serious
Right, so we'll need to incorporate that in the definitive capital plan that we're going to see. Now, the reason we fast-forwarded this conversation, coming back to the capital budget now, is that, we're already bucking up against the limit, and so we'll just rejigger this and make a second capital plan presentation.
You must have a number in the Rye-Town budget for what capital expenditures are for Rye-Town Park.
We're selling this building right here, so
Oh,
we're
you're
flush.
flush.
We're flush.
All right.
We can help our friends out in our friends out in the city of Rye. I mean, I have to laugh for the 6 years we've been flush.
Yeah, it's like.
No, we,
pennies. You can always contribute more than your 60%. You're free to do that.
Once I get to Warren Buffett and I will both,
Sure.
Good thing about it.
Good, all right, so I think anything else on the budget then?
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
about 1,000.
Any question?
I think we approved the operating, we're just going to
Okay.
retake up the capital next time.
Very good.
We're going to take up the whole capital next time. The only thing I'm concerned about is that we really do want this ADA compliant
Yes.
ramp built.
Yeah. Well, so you can move forward with that.
We can move
forward.
We can
So
move
we're
forward.
Move forward
We
with
can
getting
approve,
the bids
you have full
on.
authorization
I think
of the
so.
board to move
All right.
with that $80,000 expenditure. Hopefully, Bishop bring it in at 70.
Yeah, but
No,
we can
no,
get
no,
we can get better numbers on what that's really going to cost for the next meeting. That will help with the
That's the
capital
goal.
expenditure.
I've reached out to Lisa Easton already. We're
Okay.
hoping to, take a site tour
Okay.
and get
pardon
a
me.
better.
And order the sand as well.
And-
So you have to we'll order the sand as well, correct?
Yes, absolutely. And Benny had a suggestion that we maybe talk to some local.
Yeah, can we put something on the website, or maybe I can reach out to some folks that are in Rye, architects in Rye, and maybe even some surveyors to help us out with these couple of things we're talking
We need an
about.
architect?
Well, Lisa Easton's going to give us
For
a
the
proposal. She's not doing it for free.
Yes,
Well,
absolutely.
I thought it was designed already, Vish, the ramp.
No, we have a schematic.
A schematic, okay.
We don't have the
spec.
full plan. I mean, because you're dealing with a federal law here that has very
No
strict
doubt.
Yeah,
requirements
we need a building permit.
concerning American with Disabilities
Yeah, Joe.
Act, and you don't want to mess up there.
No person, you don't want, no person.
I don't want to say anything about the, Mary, but right now they're shooting down the ramp.
Yes, that's exactly right. At about a 45.
No, whatever we do is better, but that doesn't mean that we can just improve it. Once we improve it, we have to improve it
No, I
to
understand.
standards that are set by the
Right.
No, exactly.
You mean, once we're non-compliant, we can stay non-compliant?
Yeah.
Can you really?
There are certain.
You predate, I mean,
Yeah.
for example, this ramp was built in 1907. It predates any of these new laws, and if you don't touch it, you're fine.
Get outta here.
You're not in a non-compliant mode.
What are people that are
Well, the
handicapped
problem
now
we
do?
have is we have people that are slipping and falling
What
there.
happens to people who are handicapped now?
Excuse me?
How do they get under the
They're
bridge now?
helped, the security guards will help them, or they go to the south gate, which has a much, much more gradual slope.
They get stuck in a turnstile. Well, that's not a turnstile.
Okay. So I also wonder, I mean, so Lisa Easton hasn't done any real work on this
That's
yet, so
correct.
we're going to have to pay her fee. And I
Yes.
guess that's when you were
Yeah, I
talking
said,
about,
why not get somebody
let's see if we
donated?
can talk to another architect locally who might be more.
You send me anybody you have.
Yeah,
Put
there
the arm
we
on
go.
somebody, Joe?
Let's think about it, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe pass some names along to Bishop.
Yeah, I would work with anybody. I
You
mean,
know,
our-
they get a nice little plaque that they
I know,
donated
did you
by
talk
somebody.
to Mark Casada? He had a couple of ideas as well.
Well, he sketched it
Well,
already.
he sketched
No,
it.
no, but also the way to get this done. I mean, can't you get it, well, look, I don't know anything about buildings. You, Commissioner, I mean, Can a builder come in with a package?
I mean, even though there might not be a fee associated with the permit, you do want to have it filed with the City of Rye Building Department.
Right.
So that they can give you an official stamp of approval, and if there's any inspections to be done this way, you just can't, not,
And there are con- and there are-
willy-nilly, but there's a process.
And there are contractors out there that are design-build contractors, because they will have an architect on
Yes,
staff.
it's simple.
It may be
So-
sufficient to have even a landscape
simple.
architect for an outdoor.
Yeah, but I'm also looking at the new booth and integrating the new booth in there. That's, a little bit slightly different. There's electrical services involved with that.
Aren't any of these booths prefab that you could just buy out of the service catalog anywhere?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Okay, this
That's
is-
what we got the
this is a
pricing for in
National
the first place,
Register
by the way.
building now. We do. Yes.
You're right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Booths are not national.
No, they're
register.
not,
The
they're
booth,
not,
I
but
can tell you.
I feel like if we're going to replace the booths, we could probably do better than what we've got there now.
Similar to the
I'm
one...
thinking like a little umbrella with,
I'm good with umbrellas.
Well,
But
we
need
actually
the
wanted
electric.
to
We need the electric, right?
We wanted to put a clay roof on the top of it and have it, in the same style as the other buildings.
You know
We've got
what?
the little
That's
kitchen
not a bad
tile in
idea.
the boxes. So
Yeah, we have plenty of tile.
Sure.
all right, well, look, so you'll come up with a proposal
Yes.
for next.
But the sand, Fred, you can order the sand.
Yeah, the sand will have to wait. We normally wait until the first week in May to
Okay.
re-sculpt the beach. And it's during the re-sculpting of the beach process that we will have the sand there, so we'll be able to coordinate that.
One thing that came to mind when I was thinking about this whole sanitation thing, can you find out what does Playland Beach do with their seaweed? Because maybe we can
Sure.
dispose wherever they're disposing, number one. And number two, what does Ambrose do about recycling, because it is a county facility, recycling and food waste at the Tiki Bar? Did you bring it to us, or is he bringing it there?
no.
he's over there.
Because I know he transports food
Okay.
between the two facilities. I'm not sure about garbage.
Transports food between the two facilities,
Right.
but not waste.
Okay,
Because I originally
yeah,
thought about that.
okay. But the seaweed thing, I think, since it is a green waste product, that
Sure.
maybe it's something we could manage with the county resources.
That's good. That's
You may find somebody who's willing to buy it and purify it and then sell it as food.
ADA food.
Okay.
Okay, great. Let's get the men's report. I'm going to try and go
Do
through
we
it
need to
quickly.
make do we need any motions to approve anything? I guess not yet for...
Well, why don't we actually...
Or what about the letter to
let's-
Seaside Johnny's?
Well, hold on, let's...
Itemize
so
what
let's-
you're
so let's just-
giving me the go-ahead to
Yeah,
do.
so let me,
think you do.
in terms of the capital budget, we'd like to authorize the $64,000 expenditure for the ADA ramp, the $16,000 for the booth, the $17,200 for the sand, and I'm missing one thing, aren't I?
The lighting.
The lighting
The lighting.
No,
No, we want the lighting.
and the cameras.
Hold off on the lighting and the cameras. Let's hold
We
on
can
on
hold
the
off on
waiting.
the
Hold
lighting.
up on it,
Yes,
yeah.
okay.
Without yeah.
So those are the three things.
Those are the
that you
three
can begin.
things.
So can I get a motion to approve those capital expenditures as of tonight, and we'll revisit the rest of the budget next month? So it doesn't totally, you're well within your budget now.
No, certainly, my hesitation right now is, does it make sense to wait to authorize the booth?
Yeah, they gotta come
the
back to us,
ADA
because they're
with
going out to bid.
Once we have a more significant,
Yeah.
I thought we
or
were
what's a
gonna
better
get
idea of the
moving.
number.
But they-
We want to get them moving. Do we
Well,
need to
then just
authorize any
authorize me to
expenditure?
get an architect on
Okay.
board.
They can do
Whether
it
it's a
once a-
volunteer or whether I have to pay them.
Okay.
So
That's all I really need for now.
That's going to be a public bid document. It's going to come back to us for
Right.
authorization anyway.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Right.
So I do want to authorize the purchase of sand to the extent,
Okay.
yeah, that's necessary.
So I got the sand and
county
architect,
contract,
that's
which is
a
good.
good point.
Before, on Commissioner Salanitro's point, do we need a PE or someone, or a civil, who would do the survey of this, for the sand, for purposes of sand?
LS, a land surveyor.
Yeah, it's regular, like
Yeah,
a
just,
civil engineer.
Yep.
Well, you're gonna get a quote on it, I think we agree we get a quote on it.
That's what we should do, I think,
A survey
Joe.
of the sand, right?
That's where we could stage it.
Right.
Okay. All right, so I move that we authorize Bishop to...
Yep.
Got that? So it's a
Okay.
motion?
The sand at 17.2 and get an architect to help us price out the ramp and the booth.
Yep, so moved.
Second?
Okay?
Like something very important,
Sure.
very important.
On the motion.
I don't know.
Doug, did it, sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I just want to tell you something very important.
Well, you're better off going over, I think, so people can hear you, yeah.
Oh, all right. all important things that people have to adhere to should be, the signs should be in English and Spanish. If it isn't in English and Spanish, there are a lot more Hispanic people that are coming to the park, but they don't understand English, and they bring their children. But if you have it in signs in Spanish as well as English, they will understand what they have to do. So I think it's very important that anything that's important in the parkland has to be in Spanish and English.
I don't think we have
Please.
Spanish language at this point, do we?
We do not.
Okay, we just look into
We
that.
do
please.
have a number of Hispanic-speaking employees.
Right, but no, but
throughout the park.
let's look
Okay.
into that. Thank you,
Sure.
thank you, Goldie. Yep.
Not enough.
The only
Thank you,
signs
Goldie.
we have right now are welcome to Right Down Park.
Bienvenido. Okay,
All right.
I'm just gonna ask some quick questions. You guys wanna come up and we'll go through the management report? I'm just, Bill, and we'll go through it pretty quickly. Thanks for putting this together as always.
Well, there are a lot of details here which we don't need to go over
The
unless you have any
fountain repair,
questions.
Can I just ask questions?
Yes, sir.
So, and then offer it up to the commission to ask questions as well? Sure. The fountain repair, so what's the status of that?
Just reminding people that what our goal is to find a funding source for that. It's a project that seems to,
Which fountain are we talking
there's
about?
a fountain right in front of the administration building that has not worked for numerous years, though the piping and the motor and all have been shot, basically.
So you're going to try and get funding for that?
Yeah, so it's less than $2,000. I think we might be able to find somebody who'd be interested in,
And we could actually, again, Ann, with your group, I mean, you could give it the name, same way you'd name a park bench, you could actually name the fountain.
yeah, that's the idea.
If somebody wanted to contribute to
Selling
fountain.
lots, we're selling park benches, lights.
Lincoln bedroom, Lincoln.
They don't get to swim they don't get to swim in the fountain, though. They
Hey,
Come
Now,
on, once a year.
What's the story on this overgrown tree? Are we going to cut it down, or what are we going to do?
This is something that I just spoke with Fraser Pittmiller and left an email for Linda about it. I'm recommending, I hate to cut down trees, but this particular tree is definitely a nuisance tree in an area that it's crowding out a very nice cherry tree.
It's going to go?
It's going to
All
go.
right, okay, the friends are,
What tree was that?
It's this Polonia tree that's right next to the cherry tree at the corner of Forest Avenue and Dearborn.
Oh, yeah.
It just kind of showed up, unannounced, and
Okay.
it's definitely a weed tree.
okay, good. Okay, code of conduct and ethics.
That's
You
under-
drafted that. We
yeah.
have that.
We have that.
Have we had a chance to look at it?
Very good.
Looks good. Any
I like
questions, comments? I like it
like
as
it.
well.
I can't claim originality here. I looked at a bunch of websites, including the Village of Portchester and the Village of
Yep.
Rybrook and Seabright. It's
I thought it
somewhat
looked very
similar.
good as well.
I think it looks very good. I do have a couple
Yep,
very,
please.
very small things.
Yep.
Okay.
So just, I think it really is excellent, and I think it will help set a tone there. Just in terms of conditions of employment, I wonder if that, just reading it, it looks more like it's prohibited conduct as opposed to conditions of employment.
Well, it's conduct that obviously the opposite would be what you should do. This is what you should. It seemed to me if you wanted to show this to employees, you want them to have no doubt in their mind as to if I do this, then it's wrong.
Okay.
But
Well, prohibited, I like prohibited contact as well. If you don't mind just changing that.
Prohibited conduct
Yeah,
for the instead of conditions of
Commissioner
employment.
Brett's also a lawyer. so I like-
so how would you say it?
Just say prohibited
Conduct.
conduct instead of conditions of employment.
Okay,
conduct.
that's fine.
Just to be very clear. And then the other thing is, I know that you probably pieced this together, but a number of bullet points, you refer to the company, and just say Standard Rye-Town Park Management.
Oops.
So just do a global
Well,
replacement.
whatever it's off to do a search and
Yeah.
change.
Okay.
So
Using
those are
company
only-
equipment, I see
Yeah.
what you mean, yeah, okay.
So just those are my only two comments. I thought it was excellent.
Wonderful. Any other comments? Can I get a motion to approve the code of ethics?
So moves.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Terrific. Bill, thanks so much.
Thanks.
That was great. That was very helpful. Okay.
Anything
moving
else on the
along.
report?
Yeah, let's keep going. I had a couple other questions. It was actually a fairly robust report here, and I want to make sure I know what we're doing. Well, I know Goldie's happy you're getting the musical groups. I think we got 6 sessions this summer.
7.
7! Oh, Goldie! Goldie!
maybe-
Goldie, you're killing us!
Whatever you can do.
Goldie, you're killing us. That's great. 7. That's $500 a pop, isn't it?
I know, it's a little more than that. We're getting some sponsors. that's for sure.
Goldie, all right. I tell you, I hope people appreciate I hope that people appreciate what you...
People come out.
Exactly, I hope they appreciate what you're doing for them. Thank you, Goldie.
Yeah.
All right, the season permit, I just want to go through this. So are we doing all this? Are we sending these letters out?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and then, so we're sending to the current permit holders, who are the